People were starving, but then they went, oh, how many shoes does his wife have? That's it, isn't it?
She said she had to have all these shoes. She had to have Ferragamo because she had very narrow feet. And people believed that, because if they didn't, they were killed.
Have you seen what else she spent her money on, though? Because she spent 200 grand on a headboard for their bed. Like, what does a headboard worth 200 grand actually do? That's what you've got to ask yourself.
I would think she would need to knock herself out on it.
Yeah.
But she's called Gucci Grace because that's where she likes to shop.
Yes, she is.
Because I am known as Joe Majestic Wines Caulfield. And this is Paul Cravat Shop Merton.
Yes.
Cravat World, I think. Next to Poundland.
You don't go to Poundland, surely you go to Guinealand.
Yes, Mugabe was forced out by the army after he fired his vice president, Emerson Mnangagwa, earlier this month, and for trying to position his wife, Grace, as successor. There's more to Grace, though, than just shopping and seizing farms. She's actually Dr. Grace Mugabe.
Because she forced her husband to give her all these different accolades.
Well, that's scandalous. I'm not sure that's true. She got her PhD at the University of Zimbabwe this year. It apparently just took her 3 months to do, which is very impressive. The doctorate was awarded to her by the University Chancellor, actually, a Mr. R.G. Mugabe. How did the generals go about reassuring everyone it wasn't a military coup?
Dancing, it seems to be.
Yeah, they staged the musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took over state TV, which is always a sign of something not being a coup.
That's right.
One of the generals broadcast a message saying it definitely wasn't a military coup. Let's have a look at that message.
To both our people and the world beyond our borders, we wish to make it abundantly clear that this is not a military takeover of government.
Because he doesn't look like he's in the military at all there, does he? He doesn't look scary
he's in
at
the
all.
Cubs. There was a letter of resignation from Mugabe, which said, "My decision to resign is voluntary on my part and arises from my concern for the welfare of the people of Zimbabwe." Which sounds tremendously voluntary to me.
Yeah, it does, particularly with a tank outside your house.
So he's replaced the ambitious young reformer who's going to provide a fresh break with the past is 75-year-old Emerson Mnangagwa. He's known as the crocodile. Why do we think that is?
People say you think he's sleeping, but he isn't, and then he comes and kills you. Sort of friendly name.
It's cuddly, isn't it? According to The Economist, it's for his habit of waiting quietly before sinking his jaws into his next victim. And this doesn't seem to worry the people on the streets.
A crocodile?
The new leader, Emerson Mnangagwa, is known as the crocodile, celebrated here for his ruthless cunning.
But when it gets its prey...
There's a lot of optimism in Zimbabwe, which is heartbreaking. If you're watching this on...
You think it's misplaced, then?
Yeah.
He's not a great guy. I mean, he did organise the massacres of 20,000 people. I mean, it's not a big deal nowadays, I know, but...
They're very old, aren't they?
Who, they are? Well, it's 93.
Mugabe's 93, and so the new guy, the crocodile guy, he's 75, and I just think, God, when does ambition stop? You know, when do people just... They should just be watching whatever Zimbabwe version of Cash in the Attic is.
Cash in the bank in France.
Yes. Siphoned off money in the attic, yes.
Political opponents in the attic.
Yeah.
Grace has been a fiercely loyal supporter of her husband. How does she plan on helping him continue as president as he got older?
Getting him embalmed and then just keeping him going for as long as possible while she controls the remote behind him.
That's pretty much the right answer, actually. She said he would never quit as leader because we're going to create a special wheelchair for him until he rules to 100 years because that's what we want. And if he died before then, no problem. If God decides to take him, then we would rather field him as a corpse.
Oh, man, wasn't far off.
Field him?
Yeah.
For elections.
I see.
Where you can put up dead people.
Yeah.
It's not a coup. The new bloke said they were looking forward to a new era of democracy. Yeah.
Who's the biggest loser in all this?
Robert Mugabe.
Is it Gucci?
Yes.
Given that they're now not going to have a woman with loads of money.
Well, even bigger loser than them is Mugabe's tailor. Where will he find clients that wants to wear suits like this?
It's just him and Timmy Mallet, isn't it?
I mean, there aren't many men who can carry off a suit with a picture of their own face on it. Mugabe's best look, though, for me, was this one. Finally, since we've been talking about the crocodile, what other politician is concerned about big reptiles this week?
Oh, it's elephants.
Big reptiles.
Yeah.
I resign.
University challenged.
Sorry, idiot.
Well, it's Australian MP Bob Katter.
Oh, yeah.
Here he is explaining his feelings about same-sex marriages, but watch for the subtle gear change as he realises there are more important issues.
You know, people are entitled to their sexual proclivities. You know, I mean, let there be 1,000 blossoms bloom as far as I'm concerned. You know, but I ain't spending any time on it because in the meantime, every 3 months, a person is torn to pieces by a crocodile in North Queensland.
That person must be getting pretty fed up of it.
This is the news that one of the most ruthless, corrupt and bloodthirsty leaders Zimbabwe has ever known has taken over from Robert Mugabe. The new leader of Zimbabwe is Emerson the Crocodile Mnangagwa, previously best known for beating Phil the Power Taylor with a 9-dart finish at the Lakeside. The crisis began when Grace Mugabe persuaded her husband to get rid of Emerson the Crocodile Mnangagwa, partly because she saw him as a political rival, but mainly because she wanted to turn him into a handbag. Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson used all his diplomatic skills to curry favour with the incoming regime, declaring it a glorious new dawn for the people of Rhodesia. Ian and Steph, take a look at this.
A famous red box where they have to try and pull rabbits out of it.
That's the government. Oh, that's moving into a new home. No, you can't afford it.
This is, of course, the budget. It was a bit funnier than they normally are. Because obviously you had Theresa May handing him cough sweets in the middle of it as well, you know.
Yeah, I thought that was subtle.
Yeah, really subtle.
Him reminding her of how bad her speech was.
Yeah.
But he seems to have done enough to survive. It's great being in a really weak government, because you listen to all your critics and you write it down and then you read it out in the budget. And everyone says, he's brilliant. Universal credit not working, that's a fantastic thought. Not enough homes, how did he think of that? The idea that everyone else has been saying this for the last 15 years, it's gone. Suddenly he gets all the credit. Well, not universal credit, obviously. Anyway, he survived, and it wasn't bad enough for anyone to get too angry about.
Yes, what's the big problem that Big Phil faced before this budget?
Well, everyone hated him.
Yes. Everyone thinks he's rubbish. Here he is, poor Phil, scratching his head.
Phil.
He didn't have much support beforehand. Critics were queuing up in the Telegraph to say his days were numbered. He's not a bloke who has many friends. His statement will have to be spectacular for him to have any chance of keeping his job. If he flops again, he's done, said his wife. What's caused all the underlying gloom?
Brexit. And the fact that there's so much uncertainty.
Typical BBC Ramona.
I know, there we go.
You can't come on for 1 minute, can you? Going on and on, it's all Brexit's fault. God! Honestly, it's pretty annoying.
I haven't seen you so animated since you thought an elephant was a reptile.
Growth forecasts.
Downgraded.
Downgraded.
So, yeah.
From what?
From 2% to 1.5%, which in monetary terms is about £20 billion. Forecasts do my head in because they're never right, are they?
No.
So how many times have I been on TV? I'm going to have a little mini rant.
Yeah, go
How
for
many
it.
times have I been on TV and said, the Bank of England's forecasting this, the OBR's forecasting this? No one's ever got it right. The best person who's given any analysis is that lady who was asked about when there was going to be another election. Do you remember? She says, not another one. This is exactly how I feel. I'm going to be fired before the end of this, by the way. Given it's my job to talk about forecasts, but there we are.
Is it the business journalists just like numbers and want to put their favourite number in, so people are just shouting different numbers?
Yeah, and for me, I just love hard hats, so I just like going around various building sites.
And Viz jackets.
Hi, Viz.
Viz, yeah.
Do you know there's even someone who's set up a fetish website of Steph and safety gear? You haven't got one of them, Ian.
What's
you don't know that I set it up.
What's the address? Why was Philip Hammond depicted like this in The Sun on Budget Day?
Is that a ferret or a weasel, or perhaps it's an elephant? I don't know.
Looks a bit like Arsene Wenger. Is that meant to be...
Yeah, it does, actually.
What's going on?
Yeah. It's a weasel, actually. It was to warn him against increasing duty on diesel fuel. Don't be a diesel weasel.
Don't be a diesel weasel?
Yeah. Well, drivers of diesel cars, having been actively encouraged by governments to go out and buy them, have now being hit by extra fuel duty. And that's just what weasels do in the wild.
Yeah, they do.
Philip Hammond is determined that by 2021, our vehicles will be driverless. And he's paying to install electric charging points all over the place. I've got loads in my house. Why is everyone so keen on driverless cars? I like driving. Don't you
So they
people
can
like
get
driving?
drunk and then be taken home.
It's called a cab.
If there's driverless cars, there'll be no more Top Gear. That is a big incentive for me.
Driverless cars caused Philip Hammond some embarrassment before the budget. He told Andrew Marr that to show his confidence in driverless technology, he'd be going in a driverless car the very next day. This alerted Number 10 to a potentially embarrassing visual metaphor. And a spokesman told The Telegraph he will not be sitting in a driverless car. He will not be doing that. Yeah, a lot of people are scared by the new technology of driverless cars. But do you want to see something really creepy? Have a look at this. We can't rely on the stairs to stop them now, can we?
No, that's it.
Matt Hancock, who is the digital minister, is very much on board with the government's support for technology. He tweeted, "One new tech business founded in UK every hour. We want to see that halved."
We need those maths teachers, don't we?
You're good at maths, Steph, aren't you? Didn't you, when you were a child, work out how to make a Black & Decker leaf blower much more efficient and thus saving them millions of pounds? Is that true?
Yeah. When I was 19, I used to work for Black & Decker, and I got trained in lean production. So it was all about productivity. And I got trained in something called Six Sigma. So I've got a green belt in it, which also means I'm incredibly violent.
Right.
And so I did all this analysis and worked out how they could make them faster. So they could make them faster, and it meant that they could close the factory at weekends.
Right.
So basically, I cut jobs in the North East.
Who would like to see BBC political jester Norman Smith explaining the Brexit divorce bill in overly simplistic terms?
Yeah.
Yes, here he is.
So, how big is this Brexit divorce bill going to be? It could be more than 40 billion. Loads of money! Brussels could still say, no, we want more money. And you know what? The great British public could say, loads of money, you're having a laugh.
I say, Norman, stop it! What's wrong with it? Which one is his normal accent out of those two?
Yeah, definitely the posher one.
There have been complaints that the government has done nothing about the minimum wage, the so-called gig economy. What has the millennials' favourite exploiter of low-paid workers, Uber, admitted this week?
Well, someone hacked into Uber and stole the data of 57 million users. That's the entire country is in an Uber all the time.
But they paid a ransom a year ago, just come out now.
$100,000, for the hackers to keep quiet about the whole thing.
But Uber accepted it.
Yeah.
So they said, we won't tell anyone about it, we won't report it, and the criminals said, we've erased all the data, trust us. We're criminals who've just hacked into your system. And then eventually they had to admit it.
Does Private Eye have worries that somebody might hack into your system, steal the carbon paper or something?
How has the Chancellor tried to appeal to young people?
Well, he's abolished the stamp duty. And, also the train thing, which seems kind of random. So they get free train travel up to 30 now.
Yeah.
Because they can't afford to live anywhere, so they could live on the train. It's called the new home replacement service.
It's a rail card, but it's off-peak, so you can't use it to get to work.
So you can't go to work, no.
Yeah, and you only get a third off.
And you get a third off. Well, still, they'll probably reduce the cost of a ticket to, London to Manchester down to about 400 quid, won't it?
He did some weird sort of specific taxes, I thought, where he did nothing on other booze, but except strong cider and rolling tobacco. And I thought, well, he's missing out on that very important likes to drink in the park demographic there, isn't it? It seemed like it was an actual person. And I was imagining if there's like an evil bubble and then you cut to Phil Hammond's daughter and her useless boyfriend rolling fags and drinking cider.
I thought it was a pretty blatant attack on Farage.
He's also cracking down on property speculators and investors who leave property vacant. Did you see what happened to the old vacant stadium in Atlanta called the Georgia Dome? It was demolished in an explosion, and lots of news media were there to see it, and they set up in the best camera position possible to catch the never-to-be-repeated moment. This is the news that the Chancellor has delivered a brilliant/terrible budget according to how much white cider you drink. The budget also tackles environmental issues with a tax on single-use plastics such as takeaway boxes because of concerns that 12 million tonnes of plastic enter the sea every year, especially when the cast of Love Island go swimming. The Daily Mirror said the Chancellor's budget amounted to backdoor cruelty, which I think is one of the films on Damien Green's computer. And so on to round 2, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
This is the Queen and Prince Philip showing why they get on so well together. It's their 70th wedding anniversary, I think, 1947.
What did the Queen give Philip?
Northumberland.
It was very lazy gift-giving.
She gave him,
gave him a medal.
Yeah.
And it's like if you said to your wife, oh, happy anniversary, here's a copy of Private Eye. It's not a good gift.
But did you notice how they said we're going to have a low-key affair, and then they had a massive party at Windsor Castle, put out a load of stamps, and then got 10 bell ringers to ring bells at Westminster Abbey for 3 hours? I mean, what's wrong with sausage rolls and a couple of rounds of agadoo? You know, like...
The thought of Prince Philip singing Agadoo is making me very happy. Yeah, she gave him another title. She's making him Knight Grand Cross of the Royal Victorian Order. Cross being the operative word. According to the royal biographer Ingrid Seward, the secret to their happy marriage is that they laugh together. What do you think they might laugh about?
Us.
Well, Ingrid said the Queen is a wonderful mimic and is particularly good at a Liverpudlian accent.
No. I would love to see that.
Oh, we'd all love to see that, wouldn't we?
Because you know what? I always panic, because obviously at the BBC when we do the news, we have a whole procedure if anyone who's Category 1, like the Queen, dies. So we have to go through this procedure every month of rehearsing it. And I am in blind panic that one morning it's me on, and how gutted the royal family will be when a girl with a North East accent announces the death of the Queen. Can you imagine that? Like, now then, everyone, just to let you know, Bet's pegged it, so every time I sweat on.
Ingrid also revealed the couple share a bedroom, but Prince Philip also has his own in case he's had a late night or he's been out with the boys. The royal family's Twitter account released some official portraits of the couple. Here's the tweet from the royal account.
Up to that point, I thought they were well matched.
That's just a technical error, how the pictures are displayed. They don't actually look like that. I think it's time we did a little something special to mark this unique occasion.
Let's do something special.
Yeah, let's do that. So fingers on the buzzers, teams, for the no expense spent Phil and Liz quiz. Right, we've got 70 questions to get through, so try and keep your face up. What did Prince Philip give up in 1947? Yes.
Oh, his life.
Joe.
Smoking.
He did. He gave up smoking cigarettes. The Queen didn't like it, so he just stopped dead. He still loves to blaze a doobie, though, and maybe a bong or two at the weekends. The royal couple received 2,583 wedding presents, but what did they get 76 of?
Toasters.
Nope. 76 people gave them handkerchiefs.
Hey, Phil, look at all these hankies we got.
They also got a hoover, a bath sponge, an automatic potato peeler and 500 tins of pineapple from the people of Queensland.
It's amazing that they should all think of the same thing.
Yeah. What special rule is there when the Queen is on the royal train?
Kenneth Branagh has to appear with a moustache.
When the Queen is travelling on the royal train, it's not allowed to go over bumpy tracks at 7:30 a.m. because this is when she has her bath.
The bath on the train?
A bath on the train,
Wow.
I know. Must be really irritating if you're queuing outside that cubicle, though.
There's somebody in here.
Yeah. Yes, there's automatic doors that open, she's like that. What did Prince Philip say when he first saw baby Prince Charles?
He said he looks like a frog, or he looks like some sort of reptile, perhaps a large elephant.
That's not far off, yeah. Philip missed Prince Charles's birth because he was playing squash at the time. But when they finally met, Philip said, he looks like a plum pudding. Now Charles just looks like a bitter lemon. Finally, what nickname do Prince William and Harry have for the Queen?
Your Majesty.
Madge?
The Governor.
No. Earlier this year it was revealed the Prince is called the Queen Gary.
Do you reckon that's her Scouse alter ego? That's what it is, isn't it?
Well, apparently it's because Prince William couldn't say granny when he was a baby, but I'll go with the Scouse alter ego. That sounds better. This is the Queen and Prince Philip's 70th wedding anniversary. According to a royal biographer, the secret of their long marriage is they laugh together, especially when their accountant phones them with more good news from the Cayman Islands. According to the Sunday Express, in the early days of their marriage, the Queen was surprised that Philip didn't wear pyjamas. Not as surprised as those carol singers he opened the door to. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
This is the story about Paper Chase and the fact that they gave away wrapping paper with the Daily Mail, and then everyone kicked off. So then they put out this ridiculous, apology saying, "We're really sorry, we'll never, ever, ever do it again," which then everyone kicked off about as well.
Yes, this is the news that Paper Chase felt obliged to apologise after giving away 2 free sheets of wrapping paper in the Daily Mail. Here is the full grovel. We've listened to you about this week's newspaper promotion. We now know we were wrong to do this. We're truly sorry and we won't ever do it again. Thanks for telling us what you really think, and we apologise if we've let you down on this one. Lesson learnt.
How old are Paper Chase? 5? Really sorry, I won't do it again.
Yeah, why did they apologise in the first place?
Because they were lobbied by a group that tries to stop people they don't approve of taking ads in newspapers, which is quite dangerous. Because where do you stop? Stop the Guardian running it, having ads because you don't approve of them. In America, abortion clinics, you don't approve of them. I mean, it's not a great way to censor a newspaper. Don't buy it if you don't like it. And if you're a big firm that wants to give away paper, well, there are other publications.
There's an attack on press freedom.
It is a bit.
How did the Mail respond?
No idea.
Well, they said all newspapers should be deeply concerned at this sinister campaign by a tiny group of hard-left Corbynist internet activists, ardent Remainers.
Yes! I knew it! I knew it!
To use their social media trolling to shut down legitimate debate in order to impose their views on the Mail and other newspapers.
Reasonably, then, yeah.
Yeah,
Has
reasonably.
the Mail ever tried to impose its views on anybody?
Never. In other rapping news, why are people so angry at Amazon at the moment?
Oh, is this because they sent some bubble wrap to someone and they wrapped it in loads and loads and loads of paper, so much so this fella had his entire garden full of all the paper just from the wrapping of the bubble wrap.
Yeah, people's orders keep coming with too much packaging. Paul Jacobs ordered some bubble wrap and it came with 100 feet of brown paper padding.
He looks happy though, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. Finally, what did the BBC's Simon McCoy spend a little too long doing on the news channel this week?
Having a go at the weather forecaster.
Nope.
No.
He was watching some beatboxers. Let's have a look.
Let's go. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on back.
Yeah, that was quite good.
Time now for the odd one out round. Paul and Joe,
Yes.
your 4 are Winston Churchill, Hatton Gardens gang member John Kenny Collins, BBC Newsroom staff, and Mike Ashley.
We
Yes.
think we know this one. It's about sleep.
It is about sleep.
Because the Hatton Garden, he was so old he fell asleep. He was the lookout.
And everyone at the BBC sleeps regularly during shifts.
Right.
So that's what we
Especially
do.
the breakfast lot.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, it's 3 hours long. What do you want us to do?
Well, your audience are.
And I thought we were getting on.
Yeah, and then he fell asleep in a board meeting, didn't he?
Oh,
Drink
yes,
thrown
Mike
up in the
Ashley.
fireplace.
Yes, after we'd had a few pints, I think.
A few
We
pints
said
at a
a few
board
drinks.
meeting, and Winston Churchill was all asleep in the afternoon. He took a lot of naps.
So the odd one out is...
Winston Churchill was allowed to have a nap. The others were all sleeping when they should have been working.
No.
No.
Really? Yeah, I mean, you're on the right track.
Yeah, appalling answer.
I'm going to put you out of your misery. They all deliberately slept at work.
Yeah.
Except for Hatton Garden gang member John Kenny Collins, who accidentally dozed off twice during the notorious jewellery heist.
We don't deliberately sleep at work.
Apparently you do. And we have proof. The Hatton Garden gang didn't have a lot of faith in John Kenny Collins. What did they call him?
The sleeper.
Sleepy, yeah.
Dozy?
No.
Snoozy John.
Useless bastard.
Collins.
Almost. Apparently he wasn't the brightest.
Yeah.
Dopey.
Dimwit Collins.
Well, they called him Wombat Thick, claiming he couldn't even remember his own name.
Well, why did they pick him then?
Yeah, why did they pick him?
Well, there you go. What other mishaps did they get up to during the robbery? Well, aside from their sleeping lookout, they gave their real address when buying machinery used in the robbery. They triggered a police alarm. They left vital clues behind, including traceable drill parts. Only 2 of the elderly men were slim enough to fit through the hole they drilled. And one man keeled over outside the vault and started to go into a diabetic coma. Other than that, they did really well.
Yeah.
Now, the BBC. Photos of sleeping BBC newsroom workers were taken by a whistleblower over a 4-year period and published in The Sun with this front page. Here is the snooze. How many workers were photographed asleep in a 4-year period, do you think?
17.
Was it 1?
It was 8.
8.
Oh,
8.
Over
Here are a
4
few-
years?
Over 4 years, yeah.
See,
Disgraceful.
that's not many.
Well, here they are. Here are the culprits.
They're probably very tired.
There's one. Yeah, there's another one.
Oh, I know him.
This one's taking it quite seriously. He's even brought an eye mask. You ever had a kip in the office?
That's what I did this afternoon. I had a power nap.
Did you?
While I was talking to Ian.
You seem to have a lot of energy on BBC Breakfast.
That's the drugs.
Well, explain this then. How about that?
Were you explaining income tax?
That's how I make business news interesting.
Interesting.
You didn't get the full audio there. I was delivering the footsie.
Oh, right. Churchill was once asked, to what did he attribute his success in life? And what do you think he said?
Alcohol, was it?
It wasn't alcohol.
No. Cigarettes?
Cigars.
Sleeping.
Yeah, basically, it was the conservation of energy. Never stand up when you can sit down, and never sit down when you can lie down.
You see, they've got a point, even though they didn't get the answer.
Yeah, but we got
A point for
sleep bit of
dancing.
it.
Howie, what are you going to do?
I can't... I mean, I'm not involved with the points.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is he a bad loser?
I wouldn't know.
Look and see.
Ian and Steph, here are yours. President Xi Jinping, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Carl the Koi Carp, and a sausage roll.
This is the story, wasn't it, about Greg's replacing Jesus in the nativity scene with the sausage roll?
Was it objects that replaced the deity? Because this carp is a deity.
Wasn't there one that looked like Jesus recently as well? 'Cause-
What, a carp?
Yeah, a koi carp.
Really?
Yeah, that looked like... I'm sure there was. Because you know, like,
when
all
you
those
say you look
people
like
that-
Jesus,
Is this part of the answer?
It absolutely is part of the answer, yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, then, Obi-Wan Kenobi is a deity in the Jedi religion.
and he's also got one of those devices that kills flies in chip shops.
So maybe there's a koi carp that thinks it's Jesus.
How do they know that it thinks it's Jesus?
Because they asked it.
Right. What?
Gets very nervous around Easter time.
You're really on the right lines. If you give me the right odd one out, I think you'll get
Doesn't matter. I didn't have to give you the right odd one out for. They got a point last time for not giving you the right one. Why are we suddenly getting pernickety about giving you the odd one?
I'm glad to see you're over it.
Is it the Chinese president?
It's not the right answer.
No.
Paul and Joe, it's a chance to get
Yeah, the odd one out's a sausage roll.
Is not the right answer.
Sorry,
either.
I meant the Chinese... No, I meant the koi carp.
Koi carp, yeah.
Koi carp's the odd one out.
Is the right answer, yes. You've both got a point there. That's how this game works. The rules are online if anyone wants to look them up.
Yeah.
They've all replaced. The answer is they've all replaced an image of Jesus apart from Carl the koi carp, who some people claim looks a bit like Jesus. Let's see a better picture of Carl the koi.
Yeah.
Here's him from another angle. Helen Barlow from Manchester took the photo at her local garden centre.
Yes.
Who does she think it looks like?
George Clooney.
Everyone thinks
Yes.
about Trump at the moment,
She
don't
says
they?
she can see Donald Trump, Tommy Cooper, and when I look closely, Newcastle manager Rafa Benitez. But I wouldn't say he looks like Jesus myself. She added, some people would say they are haunted fish, but I would say, come on now. Christians in China have been told to replace images of Christ with photos of President Xi Jinping. Anyone who dares refuse are given the harshest sentence possible. Double shifts at the iPhone factory. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Someone on the internet replaced his mother's picture of Jesus with a picture of the young Obi-Wan Kenobi. The prankster's brother posted something on a social media landfill site called Reddit. Shout out to my brother for replacing a picture of Jesus at my parents' house with a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi as portrayed by Ewan McGregor. 3 months and counting without them noticing.
Brilliant.
Let's see it. They've all replaced an image of Jesus apart from a koi carp in Manchester who looks like Jesus.
He doesn't.
It's a miracle.
It isn't.
Well, it's a miracle the story ever made the papers.
Yeah.
Some people,
Lots of people,
like Paul, weren't convinced of Carl the koi carp's resemblance to Jesus, but then the scales fell from their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, the fish isn't actually Jesus. If he was Jesus, he'd be on top of the water. Greggs have provoked controversy by replacing the baby Jesus with a sausage roll. Here's the picture. Mary and Joseph aren't there. They're away in a pret-a-manger. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Froglog. I don't know if you've read it. We start with Britain's oldest twins celebrate 101st birthday by...
Having a party. What a boring answer. Baking a special cake.
Getting there.
Buy a cake with 101 candles on it.
Yeah, that well, you know.
202 candles.
Britain's oldest twins celebrate 101st birthday by almost setting house on fire. Phyllis Jones and Irene Crump nearly set the house on fire when they insisted on having 101 candles on each of their cakes. Here they are.
Well done.
The pair even had a stripper, although it turned out to be a real fireman who was just too hot. The Metro put the blame on a pair of flaming sponge cakes. Don't call them that, they've lived through 2 world wars. Next, what was decided at Doncaster lay-by on the A1?
Brexit.
Whether Eileen Jenkins was a goer or not.
She was.
She was.
England's destiny was decided at Doncaster lay-by on the A1.
Brexit.
This is the news.
Shut up, go on about it.
This is the news that a decisive battle in Anglo-Saxon history may have taken place under what is now a lay-by near Doncaster. Historians believe the winning tactic for King Athelstan involved cutting off the enemy's supply lines by ransacking the Wild Bean Cafe at Junction 14. Next, it may surprise you to learn that some frogs what?
Fart.
Eat each other.
Oh,
Yes,
eat
it
each
may
other.
surprise you to learn some frogs eat other frogs.
Yeah.
This is from an article in Froglog, believe it or not, which also revealed the bigger the frog, the more likely it was to have cannibalistic tendencies. Here's the photographic evidence. Oh, prefer a toad in the hole myself. Next, if I see one more what, I'll go mad, says Delia Smith.
Psychiatrist.
If I see one more plate with 6 dots of sauce on it, I'll go mad, says Delia Smith.
Oh, she goes over the edge quite easily, doesn't she?
Delia Smith believes restaurant food has become too poncy. Also this week, the TV cook was made a Companion of Honour by the Queen, unsurprisingly, as she's written Her Majesty's favourite recipe book, Cooking for One. Finally, UK's most married man says what will help him find wife number 9?
Wife number 8. She can't stand it.
Says impressions of Norman wisdom will help him find wife number 9. This is Ron Shepherd looking for wife number 9. He's previously been married to Margaret, Jeanette, Leslie, Kathy, Sue, Usha, Wan and Weng. I think we can pinpoint the moment when he discovered the internet. So, the final scores are... Paul and Joe have 6, but this week's winners are Ian and Steph with 8. And I leave you with news that in Somerset, in an attempt to emulate Boris Johnson's success with Boris Bikes, Jacob Rees-Mogg launches his own version. After a 2-month trip overseas, one MP saunters back into the office, not realising the rules have changed. And at Beijing Zoo, a panda feels a sudden rush of empathy for a creature forced to mate against her will. Good night.
A ton of episodes available to watch now with some of your favourite comedians on the panel, including Ross Noble, Holly Walsh and Nish Kumar with QI on BBC iPlayer. Up next, TV royalty, King of the Queen Vic on Michael McIntyre's Big Show.